Prisons are places of punishment designed to detain those who have shown the worst of human behavior. But offenders of society are held in this facility with the hope they can be rehabilitated and possibly released. Our correspondent Michelle Begue found a prison in Colombia where being confined to a cell block is actually bringing out the best in human behavior. Being locked up has helped some inmates unlock their creativity and made them poets behind prison walls.
Miré a mi alrededor, estaba todo oscuro.
I stretched my hands and felt to my left a cold wall, in front of me another, and to my right, something like a cement bed.
These women know firsthand the meaning of the words being read out loud from a book. They too wake up day after day in a cold and dark cell.
¿Es verdad que no te acuerdas de nada? Preguntó.
It's true. I don't remember anything. I don't know what is happening to me. You have been here for a couple of days. They captured you at the airport. You were carrying cocaine in your luggage.
The story read is not a work of fiction, nor is it written by a well-known author. It's the story of one of their cellmates, written during a seminar called Libertad bajo palabra, or Liberty under Oath.
So we are going to try to do an exercise just like Miriam did, as if in retrospect we were at home and we were thinking from the outside what it was like to live this experience here.
Once a week, inmates of Bogotá's Buen Pastor prison get together to participate in a therapeutic writing session.
La idea de tener un espacio en donde no solo pudiera leer, sino también pudiera construir.
The idea of having a space where I could not only read but construct text, because the moment you arrive in prison, writing becomes a way to ease pain, and to ease pain through writing, you need technique, you need a special space.
Andrea Constanza Castañeda Muñoz is 37 years old. She is serving a 6-year and 3-month sentence for robbery. She says she never imagined her life would take this turn, but has decided to take on a positive outlook. And with the process, she became a poet.
Hope has meant a lot to me through this process. That's why it is called divine hope. In the chilly morning, the hours don't pass, and your voice, soft and warm, accompanies my sadness. But it is your eyes that captivate my soul. They pass the jail cells and remain till dawn.
The seminar began in 2005 under the coordination of José Zuleta Ortiz, a writer who during a volunteer recital at a prison in Cali became moved and surprised to learn of the personal writings of inmates.
So I started talking to them and they told me there were many writers in jail, men and women who wrote every day. They said writing was a necessity for them.
Soon he began giving a seminar once a week to anyone who would join. It had so much traction that it was implemented in 17 prisons throughout the country.
With or without the program, with or without the seminar, they write. They need to reflect on what has happened to them, reflect on their lives, the questions, the laws, and all the human dramas. These are all the major topics of literature. All this seems to be developed in their extreme situation.
The writings that came from the class were so good that he decided they should be published under the writer's consent. Now, Fugas de Tinta, Articles, Stories, and Accounts Written from Prison, is a 6-part series full of truth.
In those books, you can see the childhood they had, problems they had with education and family. The social conflicts that are reflected in that book are life stories, biographies. They tell people what happened.
No one tells her story more vividly in writing than Karina, who asked that her identity be hidden. As a child, I became a gorilla. I left behind my mother's aged face without hope and drowning in tears because of my departure. In this short story, Karina not only depicts her decision to join the leftist rebel group Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia when she was only 12 years old, but also her capture, almost 10 years later, during a bombing and raid of a FARC base camp by the Colombian military.
At first, I didn't want to tell my story because I felt every time I remembered that, I felt like I was dying. I spent a lot of time traumatized. When I would hear planes, I couldn't sleep, speak, eat. I was one of those people who are bitter and alone.
She survived the attack but lost her arm and has had a list of health complications since. But while serving time in a Colombian prison, Karina didn't understand why she had survived and tried to take her own life. A fellow inmate convinced her to go to therapy by attending the writing seminar.
Mary would tell me, you need to write. You need to let all this out that is killing you inside. Let it out and you will realize you will heal a bit.
Her story, titled Awakening, was selected to be published in the 4th installment of Fugas de Tinta. For a woman who had never received schooling, being published in a book came as a big surprise.
I didn't do it with the intention of having it published in a book, nor did I think people would read it. Inside of me, things changed.
She has come so far from her dark past as an abused little girl to a FARC rebel. Now living in Bogotá, after serving 3 years in prison, she speaks with more ease about her past and looks forward to a future as a mom.
There are many inmates who don't care about anything. But I feel that while I was in there, I didn't waste time. I did something with my life. I left a mold of my life so people can learn and realize that being in the guerrilla isn't something light, like just packing up and living great.
At the seminar, the inmates light up when I mention Karina's short story. It's as if they were the author who lived the drama.
We read it and listen and feel in that moment the pain that person felt inside. And it leaves us lessons from each of them, from everything they have been through. And somehow I respect and think hats off to them. They are out of here. They did their time. Like we all will at some point, return to another world and forget about all of this in here.
José Zuleta Ortiz eagerly recommends the book to people outside of prison, as he believes the stories are more revealing than any study that could be conducted by a specialist.
I
think it is an important point of reflection of society. I think prisons in Colombia and around the world are a mirror of society, and they are the dark or hidden side of society. And it would be interesting to know it well and understand it and know how to read those stories. What is behind this? What is behind this? What is the society we produced?
Saber leer esas historias que hay detrás de eso.
For the inmates, the stories are a chance for others to see them in a different light, without the stigma of having been an inmate.
Que no somos monstruos.
We are not the monsters that society has depicted, where everyone is only thinking about killing or hurting or insulting those around us. No, there's a lot of sensibility and heart here. There are many stories to be told. There are human beings that suffer from being far away from their families and suffer for having made mistakes. Human beings that learn every day with experiences and that every day become more patient from being in an enclosed place. They're human beings.
Con la experiencia, que cada vez se vuelven más tolerantes estando en un lugar tan hacinado.
Fugas de Tinta is full of lessons, regrets, hopes, and dreams, all told from the lips of poets behind bars.